Okay, so I am going to even clarify more even about the original gods. Okay? So we have a lot of people out there who are in the religious world, in the shamanic ascension world, whether it's in Peru, whether it's in India, whether it's in any older civilization who are bowing down to gods and goddesses, icons of the past, whether it's 2,000 years ago or 1,000 years ago, I don't care what it is. The whole, the immortals, the original gods like Anu, okay? Anu. I mean, I have 7 original gods. Anu, Enki, Enlil, Nin Hersog, like Lilith, okay, Queen of the Night, Nana, a Norse god, goddess of peace, joy, and moon. Utu, the sun god, and then Inanna, the god of fertility. Okay, all these specific gods way back when, they weren't immortal per se. They may have used salt to cure them in the state of their talents of existence, but their whole premise was a dying and rising, a death and rebirth, or resurrection deity, which Jesus has been depicted as a resurrecting deity in is a religious motif in which a god or goddess dies and is resurrected. Okay? And so all the different shamans out there are bowing to the death and reproduction. This is why death and reproduction and using herbs and all these different ceremonies are very popular. Doing ayahuasca, whatever, doing all these different LSD and all that stuff, trying to tap into a higher power, but still dying. And then people are like, oh yeah, I will resurrect. Even the original gods were mortal. So then what is immortality? Immortality is living longer than the average slave. Immortality is not being in a cured state. See, we're going to expound upon even immortality, because immortality way back in the days of antiquity was living maybe 900 years, maybe less than that, but longer than the slave status. Okay, so the slave status is living to maybe 120 years, which is depicted in the Bible. And then you have the immortal gods that were living longer than that. But now we are increasing in logic and reasoning, and we have understood the power of salt. So what if the JJ mentality is actually increasing and giving the correct definition of immortality, maintaining existence beyond 120, beyond even Anu. There is no dying and rising and rebirth. It's maintaining existence indefinitely, so as long as the atmosphere and the environment will allow and sustain life. And so, holy shit, because I'm thinking like, salt. Salt was used to quell aggression. Salt was also used to cure someone in a specific situation. But I know people on my JJ crowd that are out there traveling, doing all their stuff, that do believe in different higher gods and goddesses, and possibly doing ayahuasca and all that stuff, and they're enjoying their cured status, that they're impervious to this virus and they're not feeling anything. Okay, but being in a cured state, even if it's for 1,000 years, if that, but we don't even know if being in a cured state in this environment will give you 1,000 years. We didn't have the advanced civilization like we did way back when. I mean, it was advanced, but there's crowds of people. They were, but did they? We don't know if they had even electricity. They might have. We've seen stuff that maybe they had electricity back then. It's hard to know what exactly being in a cured state and what immortality meant even back then, because I can't find anything like how long Anu was alive. Okay, and so even the immortals were mortal. They just lived longer. The word immortality versus mortal, it just says that one lived longer than the other because they had access to knowledge. They had access to resources. They understood the power of pain and salt, but not salt to cure you, but to feel the evolution. But to feel the evolution, to feel the pain of adapting to new conditions, and to know when to step away from indicators that tell you that something is going to destroy you. And so we have to like, the JJ crowd must redefine the word immortality. Immortality is even longer than the original gods of Sumer, even longer than the gods of Greek mythology. Like, we are actually evolving from Greek mythology. We are redefining immortality. Because right now we're very young. I mean, I'm 47 years old, I'll be 48. I'm not 1,000 years old. Okay, so I couldn't prove that, the JJ mentality. But if I keep sidestepping, dangers, and I keep myself relatively sequestered from all the bullshit, and I'm in a more advanced society with even the cured people protecting from all the craziness out there, I don't see why I would even, I don't see why a person would pass away. What is this dying and rising? See, this Anu thing is like this Jesus thing. I'm like, holy crap. Because we don't know how old even the original gods were. Because the original gods had to be in a human form here on this earth. They had to be part human and part divine. And so when you think about it, like I said again, Anu was an immortal god who lived longer than the mortals because he understood the power of salt and sugar, because that was the ambrosia, which is the sugar, was then complementing the ionic energy of the salt. And that's why salt was very biblical, because they understood the power of salt, that it can cure and be a catalyst. But when you cure someone, they're still on a decline because the environment's going to cannibalize them. And so when you're a catalyst to evolution, it's these new DNA, the bioengineering out of the Garden of Eden and anywhere else, that then allowed the virus to go and replicate and affect all the different people in their little communities or large communities. But any shamans out there? I mean, someone mentioned shaman just lately, and I get where people are coming from. Everyone, a lot of people like to be in the spiritual world. They like to play in the spiritual world. They want to look back at the old stuff like from Anu, but they even believed in dying and reproducing. They even believed in dying and rising, dying and rebirth. That's where Jesus came from. Okay, not that he came from that, but that was the idea of Jesus that was used as an icon. And so Anu and Jesus are the same thing, but should we still be even bowing in supplication to any of these people? Because they are people. I mean, humans are part human and part divine. They're demigods. Humanity means demigod. And demigods give and they take away. When you think about it, now that we're redefining what a god is, a god that keeps giving, and they don't ever die, and they don't keep information from the slave class. They give this information out. However, we are also in a world where it is about a business, and you do keep proprietary information to yourself, so someone doesn't try to steal your information if you're doing something, which I understand that patents and copyrights and whatever, okay, fine. And so there's a fine line, but when it comes to living indefinitely, forget business for a minute, but living indefinitely, that should not be held away from the masses. Okay? So even Anu was mortal. Anu, what is it? Anu, Enlil, Enki, Ninhursag, Nana, Inanna, Utu, those were all mortal, but they were deemed as immortal because they had talents. They were gods. They were deified because they had talents, and they probably lived longer than the slave class, than their students. When a teacher outlives the student, it puts them in a godlike status. When a mother outlives her daughter, she is in a godlike status. Now, the daughter has the opportunity to be like the mother, but the daughter may be very, very, maybe stubborn and not want to take on the information of the mom. And so the mom will be the god if she outlives her daughter. And that's what puts somebody in a godlike status. when they survive things that somebody else couldn't survive. I get it now. And so I had to pick apart not only Greek mythology, but also the original Sumerian gods. And yeah, they came out of the 6 cradles of civilization. The first civilization was Sumer. And then Sumer, all the different, all the different advanced humans that were mortal, then went out into all points of the earth of the first cradle of civilization, the 6 cradles, and bestowed the technology and the innovation. And then they were like a god. And then this is where academia. And so I'm going to have to really figure out how to write this, because even the original Sumerian gods were mortal. When you think about it now from a bigger sense. Because I'm looking beyond 120. I didn't want to put a number on immortality. But when you already put out there, is Anu a dying and rising god? A dying and rising death and rebirth? That's freaking mortal. And then Jesus and all the different prophets thereafter were taking after that same paradigm of dying and rising, death and rebirth. And this is why we have all the holidays. Because the holidays are about death and rebirth for those that don't know any better. For like the dogs in our society that are only living from their reactions, or only trying to survive, and they only react to their environment, but they don't have the logic and the reasoning to advance themselves to not die. They can reproduce. But the only reason why you reproduce is because the body senses that, or you either make it happen. Because I'm sure if I really wanted to reproduce and my husband, whatever, then we could have a baby. But I don't want a baby. I don't need to carry on my genetic line. I am my genetic line. Okay? So, so right now, so even the original gods. And so we are evolving as a society. And the whole JJ mentality is the evolution on top of even the word immortality. Because then we talk about immortal gods based upon Greek mythology. They make it sound like they're living forever, but where the hell are they? I don't see Zeus. I don't see Poseidon. I don't even see Anu. But their whole mentality, their whole premise is the death and rebirth. And then there's Jesus, that is the icon, the representation of dying and rebirth. And then everybody wants to go and bow down in supplication to Jesus, Jehovah, Moses, Muhammad. And they have all died, and people are like, oh yeah, when I die, I'm going to get reborn. I'm going to reincarnate. And this is where Buddhism comes into, reincarnation. And then the whole thing with karma. Oh, I freaking get it. Oh my God. Holy crap. All right, bye.